Welcome to Ontopicretro, episode 23. I'm John Cummins, and joining me tonight is Liam Davenport,
Hello.
Mute Dog, and Bozo.
What's up?
Got some key members of our community in here tonight to talk about the fantastic game Super Smash Bros.
For the 64.
Yes.
Right.
The original.
Right.
It's funny because, you know, the Nintendo naming conventions of the time were already putting 64 in the name.
Yeah.
But this game did not get it.
Didn't have it. Neither did Mario Party because I guess they were just like, yeah, it'll be fine. Let's just get it out. And then
either that or they weren't confident enough that there would be another game after the original.
That's a good call.
Which is it's funny because either way, everyone still references it as Smash 64 anyways.
Yeah.
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
The official Nintendo name does not have 64 though. It's just Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I do like that they kept the bros, you know, like just like the original Super Mario. Fits right in there.
So, Samus is a bro, right? We can call Samus a bro.
Samus was a bro until everyone, you know, finally beat the game and realized that she's not a bro.
I call some of my lady friends bro. I'm like, come on, bro. What's going on? So that's fine. She can hang. Yeah. Also, Pikachu, like, who knows what Pikachu is? Jigglypuff. I mean, there's a lot of questionable things here. Yoshi, even. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I mean, when this game came out, I don't think that. Well, maybe. Yeah, because this is 99, so we would have already had Gold and Silver when they. Because they didn't have genders in the original Pokemon game.
Correct. Yeah, but Gold and Silver, I think they did. Yeah, because you could do breeding at that point.
Because you could breed in that one.
Yeah.
So maybe by this point there was the possibility of a male or female Pikachu. I don't know.
Yep.
We're getting kind of in the weeds though. This is Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get more into brawling and fighting and all those things. So we're going to kick right off with our experiences with the game. They can be as far back as you can remember or even more recent if you're still playing this game competitively for any reason.
Yeah. Mute Dog, you want to go?
Yep. Here we go.
Sure. You know, back when I did have the 64, I never would have imagined that they would have gathered all of these legendary Nintendo characters together in one setting. So what actually caught my eye was that commercial where all the characters were dressed up in those costumes. And I believe it was Yoshi who threw the first punch. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then that's when they introduced Super Smash Brothers for the 64. So I knew right then and there I had to get the game.
That commercial, man. We were just talking about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Like, and the sync on that, because it was to the Turtles Happy Together, I think it was, right? Which is such a like fun little bouncy 60s pop song of like peace, love, and happiness. It was so well put together because they're all like skipping through a field holding hands, and then suddenly like one of them, they're beating each other up. One of them's got one's got a hammer or something. It was perfect. But it was like, that was the era of, I feel like it was the end of the era for me. Maybe I just wasn't watching the right channels anymore, but like of those cool Nintendo video game commercials, because there were some great ones, like Game Boy into Super Nintendo into 64. There were some top tier stuff, and then I feel like once I got to GameCube, I feel like GameCube, like it didn't have the commercials, but again, maybe I just missed them.
There were some, but like they were already trying to focus more on showing the gameplay and be more serious with it. Like I get Metroid Prime had commercials, but they were like some live action shots of what you know they thought the game would look like in live action, but they got away from the goofy funniness that, you know, the 90s had with the Nintendo commercials.
Yeah,
something
and then,
that's like missing today, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Mute Dog, did you had a 64? Because this came out, I think we're almost 3 years after the 64 had been released. This was April of 99. 64 is released at some point in 96, I think. I want to say September, but maybe I'm off.
Yeah, I did own a Nintendo 64.
Yeah. But I feel like at this point, it's probably not a system seller. In the 64 era, I don't know how many units this moved for the console. But now, aside from, regular Mario and Mario Kart games, this is what moves consoles, which is really crazy. Like people buy Nintendo consoles for Smash.
Oh yeah.
Bozo, do you have any memories of when you first played Smash 64? We'll call, or Super Smash Bros. Sorry, John.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to touch on the last thing you said, Liam, where it's interesting because back when Smash was released, it didn't have that cultural cachet that it has now. It was so much it's seemingly like a one-off party game, kind of like Mario Party, and that's kind of what everyone treated it as. And if you go back and read some of the reviews, some of them are just surprisingly scathing.
Really?
Towards Smash, yeah. I think Electric Playground gave it like a 2 out of 10.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wow.
I mean, people were kind of not too thrilled on the party gamification of fighting games, but
was it that or was it the 2D? Because I feel like at that point we had stepped away from a lot of 2D fighters and everything. I was trying to think of all the games that had come out. There was like Dark Rift and War Gods and all of these. Like there were a bunch of fighting games on 64. Like early on, the first year or two, we got a bunch of fighting games, and they were kind of like Soul Calibur, which it felt like it was 3D, but really you weren't moving around in a 3D space like Power Stone or anything like that. But this was like, it seemed kind of like, the fighting light or diet fighting, and a little cutesy and fun and strictly a 2D thing. And so it probably didn't seem that elevated at the time.
Right. And no one at the time knew that this was going to turn into like a video game hall of fame, essentially.
Yeah.
Later down the line. It's pretty wild to think about.
Well, it kind of came out in a time where fighting games were kind of still trying to figure out 3D, and like none of them were doing it great. This is the time period where like fighting games kind of fall off, and it kind of hurt them to try to move into a 3D space. Like Mortal Kombat was doing horribly because they had tried to, that's why we don't really have a lot of 3D fighters today. Like everyone kind of went back to 2D because that's what works best.
Yeah.
And, I think Smash was kind of the outlier in all those fighting game trials at that point. And it really is more of like a party game at this point than it is a fighting game. Like if you go back and you even play Smash on 64, it's very floaty. It's very slow. It definitely doesn't like, you could definitely tell in Melee, like is where it really picks up and starts becoming like a competitive fighting game.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or has that ability to be one.
Yeah, I've always thought that Smash's closest cousin was, from this era at least, was Power Stone.
Yeah, really it is.
Yeah, I like Power Stone.
Kind of the same idea with the 3D brawler aspect.
Yeah, so I feel Power Stone moves a little quicker though, and that could totally be the hardware. The 64 is kind of chugging to play this game at this point.
Yeah. So for me, and I don't know what our age span is here, and I'm not going to ask everybody to volunteer that, but I'll say that like I feel very lucky that the 64 came out in like late middle school to high school for me, which is like still prime sleepover and like just slack off with your friends and play video games age. And we capitalized early on with the 64 on the 4 controller port for Mario Kart and for GoldenEye. But 99 is pretty crazy because 99 is when we get the first Mario Party, which comes out like I think 2 months before this, which just off the jump, I remember trying to explain to my friends, like, hey, we're going to play a board game and it's on Nintendo 64. And they were like, no, well, let's play GoldenEye. I want to hide and snipe you. Slappers only, whatever. Like, and then I had to be like, not only we're going to play a board game, but then we're also just going to play a fighting game with like Kirby and Mario. Like my friends I was the one with the 64 at the time, and they were all like, what are you talking about? But I had picked up an issue of Nintendo Power that had this full spread on the game, and I was sold. Like, it just walked you through every facet, every character, like all the items, everything. And I was like, this is chaos, and I need this, because I know that if my friends give this a chance, we are going to play this nonstop. We're going to rag on each other and shove each other and punch each other in the shoulder. And dude, like, this was sleepovers for like 2+ years easy. Like, we definitely burned our palms on the Mario Party stuff, but like Smash Bros usurped Mario Kart easy. Like, GoldenEye held fast, but Smash Bros became like the go-to from that, like, from high school era for me. What about you, John?
Yeah, so by the time this game came out, I still didn't have a 64 of my own yet. I was still kind of playing some computer games. I had a Game Boy. I had a Super Nintendo. But 64, I wouldn't get that until Christmas of this year of 99. So this was definitely one of the first games that I wanted to buy, or, to get. Probably not by myself. And it's all because of seeing the commercial, grabbing my cousin who lived next door to me who had an N64 and like, hey, we got to play this game. So we went all the rental stores, finally found a copy of it at a Showtime video that we had in town.
Nice.
And I like having zero expectations of what this game is because I only saw the commercial.
Yeah.
Staying up all night and playing it, for probably 2 days. Like, we rented it on a Saturday morning or whatever. Played it all day Saturday. Stayed up all night. Played it all day Sunday, and just kept going back to it. This was like a very common rental for us until one of us finally got it. And I can't. All my N64 games were either shared or like, one of us would buy one and the other would buy another one that we wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember who had this one. Because I sold off all my stuff at one point in college. So everything that I have, most of it that I have now has all been just recollected over time. But definitely played a ton of this game with friends, same ways as you were talking about, Liam, just having groups of friends over, 3 or 4 guys hanging out playing Smash. I mean, it felt like it was way faster at that point in time. Like, I remember being amazed at like being able to pull certain things off and like making it back to the ledge or whatever.
Yeah.
After playing the last, 3 or 4 generations of Smash, like, you go back to 64 now and it's like, man, this game like is a slug.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel that way at the time. And It also, we can get into this later, I'm sure, but the sort of verticality of how this game plays, I think from playing Mario games, from like playing a bunch of platformers like Mega Man, it helped me because I'm not a fighting game person. I was never great at Street Fighter or any of that, but I could figure out a triple jump to get over someone and to double back and to like slide around them and stuff. Like, it gave you more than just figure out and anticipate and hit the right time,
Yeah, for sure.
Smash was just the game where you turn to settle a score.
You guys,
settle in Smash.
Yeah. Settle in Smash. Well, does anybody have anything else they want to share about their experiences?
I had a little more to add to that.
Do it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was kind of the same boat as you guys. This was in heavy rotation back in the days when I only had an N64. This was probably early GameCube era. But yeah, just the idea of it being this huge crossover game that brought together so many disparate Nintendo worlds was just something I just became completely enamored with, and that's something that stuck with me to this day. And throughout the years, I've been involved with the competitive scene, and a lot of my knowledge of Smash 64 is I kind of learned through osmosis of that. And and also being part of a search effort for a certain promotional event, which we'll touch on a bit later, which in recent years has definitely been a big thing for me.
Were you a Nintendo gamer before all of this? I know you said that you had the 64. This is a little later for you that you played it. Had you played Nintendo? Did you have like an NES, a Super NES, all that kind of stuff leading up to it?
No, actually.
Okay. Wow.
I'm probably a bit younger than you guys, but yeah, N64 is my first, and I think I got it in like 2001 or 2.
So that's interesting.
I was late to the party.
Yeah. So then I have a question. So part of what was defining for me, and I don't John or Mute Dog, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was that I was already familiar with all these characters. Like I had played Kirby on the Game Boy. I had played Pokemon. I had played Star Fox on the Super NES. Obviously, I had played Mario and Metroid and Zelda. And so it was all this like fairly recent nostalgia. I mean, we're really only barely talking 10 years, if that, like 5 to 7 years of experience with some of these characters. But
that's great.
But like the nostalgia hit for me at that point. So Bozo, when you went into this, did you have any you knew who Mario was? You'd heard of Donkey Kong or whatever, but did you know all these characters? Did you know who Samus was or Captain Falcon or any of that?
I should clarify that N64 was my first console. I had Game Boy before that, so I was familiar with like Kirby and Pikachu and
okay,
and Mario and whatnot. So, but part of the coolness factor of Smash was that it opened you up to these new franchises that you may have never heard of. That's
especially like, Fire Emblem now.
Yeah.
If you ever want to know about Fire Emblem, play Smash Brothers. Later Smash Brothers. Yeah.
Who's this guy in the tight jumpsuit who's like punching and kicking and doing Falcon punches? Really makes you want to delve into that.
Especially because in his game, like you didn't really see a whole lot of him anyway. You drove around a bunch, so you
most
barely
people
knew
are
who
like,
he was.
What game is this guy even from?
Yeah. Well, cool.
So yeah, now we can, as we kind of agreed to earlier, we can kind of roll through the line and talk about who our main fighter was for this game.
Yeah, John, who's your main, or who was your main?
So at this time, I was probably using Kirby most out of anybody.
Fairly OP, right? Like, and to this day, kind of OP. But yeah, Kirby was a pain in the butt. Kirby was the one that someone started playing it, they could just float on back,
Well, it wasn't even about the floating, like just the ability to flatten. And in the N64, whenever you were flat, like everybody's punches and kicks went over you.
Amazing.
Yeah. I guess it was like a height thing. Pikachu might have been able to get you when you were flat, but everyone else like went right over the top of you.
Yeah. What about you, Mute Dog?
My character would have to be Yoshi.
Really? Okay. Yoshi, all right. So I was triggering you then before. Wait. So Yoshi, interesting, because, and I think still to this day, doesn't really have a triple jump, right? Because it was like an egg toss as the triple jump or something. Is that right?
Yeah. The egg toss as a triple jump was introduced, I want to say, in the Wii U. Version, but on the N64, he didn't have a triple jump. He just had that long flutter jump.
The fluttering
kick.
The flutter kick. Thank you.
I will say that Yoshi was my main for the home run derby.
Oh yeah,
because you could do the downward flutter kick, and you could just rack up so much damage.
Mm-hmm.
That was my go-to move in the game.
That was melee though, right?
Was that melee? Oh yeah, that was in melee. That was after this one.
I see. We almost outlawed Yoshi at one point because I had a buddy of mine, Matt, who would just sit there on the ledge and egg you off.
Poop you
Like
off.
he'd just egg poop you off the ledge of the thing, and we were like, all right, this is like. Then we all had to have like a personal vendetta against him, and then it turned into a meta game of Smash Yoshi. Like it was a whole thing, which was super fun, but. Yoshi's a weird character. They're all unique, but there's certain things about Yoshi that I think are very different from all the other ones.
Right.
What about you, Bozo? What was yours?
I've had a different main in every Smash game, but I think for 64, I was a DK guy.
Really?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I like the charge up punch, and especially his taunt. His taunt is top tier.
Yeah,
where he does the little like shrug and he
like the hand thing.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I love fighting giant Donkey Kong. That was my favorite part in classic mode.
Yeah. Dude, just as an aside, the taunts, like once we figured out taunts, oh my God, it was so good to just sit there and show me your moves, your buddy, and make them come after you. Some of those taunts were so good. I was a Fox guy. Again, like I wasn't a fighter. I'm still a Fox guy. I still play him a bunch. I was not a fighting person. I could do platforming. I could do speed. I could do like little flippy manipulation things. I loved throwing items. That was my like the strategy that I built up is my friends wanted to not have items. I don't know if you could really turn them off or you could just affect them. But
you think you could turn them off in 64, can you?
You can.
Yeah,
you can turn them off.
Yeah,
sure.
I can't remember. I know in Melee they made switch them off because I would just get everything, and whether it was a sword or a ray gun, whatever it was, I was finding a way to throw it and hit you at the worst time or whatever. Fox was so fast, dude, and that Firefox flame comeback thing, I loved that move. It was he has continued to, that side B move, which you don't have the side Bs in 64, and it's kind of hard to go back to and not be able to do your side B moves when you're used to them. But yeah, he was just so cool. You could kick somebody 3 times before they even realized what was happening with Fox. And those charge up like hard A kicks, like the uppercut and then the jump up and follow through. You kick them off the top of the board. Woo. Yeah, he's the man. Fox is the best.
Was it Melee that introduced Falco?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Even faster Fox.
Yeah, I played I played a lot more Falco in Melee. He was my main for that game.
Yeah.
Fox is a monster in Melee.
He is.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I think we've got experiences out of the way and mains, so we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about just get into the game discussion. So, let's see, Smash, as Liam alluded to earlier, this was a 99 game. So, released in Japan on January 21st, in North America on April 26th, and then Europe would get it on November 19th, but all in 99. And then, let's see. It says down here that even the IQ player received it, but not until 2005, which is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
By that time, Melee's already out. I don't know why you'd want to play Smash 64 on.
Yeah, that's anything. Like closer to Brawl's release than Melee.
Exactly.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, man. And that's probably, that would be in China. So that's why it's so delayed. But
this was one of two Smash games that was developed by HAL Laboratories.
Yep.
it's interesting because some people, even to this day, still think it's developed by HAL, which is not correct. Only 64 and Melee were done by HAL, and actually Satoru Iwata also helped with the programming alongside
still part of HAL at this point.
Yep, alongside Sakurai, who was the primary director of the game,
lead developer,
and still is.
Yep. And this game was born out of a prototype game called Dragon King, which, whenever you look at it, like, you could totally see it. Like, you could tell, like, they pitched this idea and they're like, "Yeah, no, we like it, but this is not going to work."
Oh wow!
Yeah, they had to upsell Nintendo pretty hard on getting them to use the actual characters from their franchises.
I mean, when you really think about it, at this time, Nintendo's not super big on allowing their characters to be used elsewhere. So, I mean, I imagine this was probably the only reason this even happened probably is because of it going through HAL. You know, this is a very close second party developer to Nintendo. It's almost like if Rare would have came in and asked, you know, to use characters. It's probably the only other developer I could think of that probably could have pulled off using some Nintendo characters in their games if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'd also say that I feel like at this point, because I remember as a kid in school, Nintendo 64 wasn't the console at this point, you know, like what it had going for it. And it's probably why we got Mario Party and Smash around the same time. And then I think the next Mario Party game doesn't even come a year later. Was that this was a party system. Like this was something that you would get together and play with a bunch of people. So I would wager also that seeing something that has the bones of a great multiplayer experience was probably very appealing to Nintendo at this time. It's what they had to lean into because they had some really stiff competition at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the N64 was kind of the start of the decline of Nintendo having third-party games.
Yeah.
The decision to go to a cartridge-based system over the disc just kind of made it frustrating for other developers at this point in time. And it really did kind of drive the stake between Nintendo and third party. Like, if you look at the N64's library, like, it's one of the smallest libraries of any console, like, that had any real time out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you could point to Virtual Boy, it has smaller, and, you know, some other ones, but for as long as the N64 was, but the Wii U was, was a commercial flop completely. Like, had half even of the N64 had half of the units sold.
Yeah.
In that time period. But this is really where it really started getting dry for third parties. So Nintendo had to start getting creative, and I imagine that this is probably where we got the approval for this game to come out. You know, they're kind of just like, let's just try it. What else do we got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
So, and it was in good hands. I mean, I think they had already built a good trust with HAL, just through Kirby and, you know, a few other games that came through with HAL. So yeah, this is where it was going to come from.
Yeah, I think Nintendo probably also saw Sakurai's vision for the fighting gameplay as probably something that they wanted to try out too, because as the story goes, Sakurai observed a young couple playing King of Fighters in an arcade once, and he saw them just getting completely wrecked, for lack of better words, and just not having fun with how complicated the inputs were. And that's part of the reason why he wanted to make the gameplay of Smash so welcoming and intuitive.
Basically around two buttons. I mean, he pretty much brought this game to like NES level of simplicity.
And that's the thing about Smash Brothers is that it has a tutorial system that easily kind of guides you on how to play the game, and so they made it as simple as possible So it wasn't your typical fighting game where it's like, okay, reduce the health of your opponent and you win. They had to show you different mechanics of how to knock the opponent off the stage, and even if you do get knocked off the stage, things you can do to get back on stage. It was very user friendly as far as like gaming mechanics and just basic concepts on what to expect when you're playing the game in general.
And it also kind of got, as Bozo mentioned, it simplified the moves. There was like you weren't going to get stuck in a combo on the screen and not be able to get out of it. Uh, it just kind of drastically changed the landscape of fighting games, or at least party fighting games. You know, we would see other things come out that are similar to this. Yeah, it has a very easy to learn, hard to master type mentality for a game, and it's very welcoming to newcomers for sure. I guess really that's. I mean, we talked a little bit about the development. We can talk. We can start getting into the gameplay, basically the meat and potatoes of this show, and just kind of discuss some of the features and things.
Well, I did have one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
for it.
About the development, but I alluded to this earlier. But it's not so much the development, but more so the promotion for the game.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Go
I know
ahead.
this is a bit of a tangent, but I won't keep it too long. I just wanted to let you guys know. So everyone knows the commercial, right? We talked about the commercial. It's a classic. Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and Pikachu just all beat the crap out of each other. But most people don't know that there was a separate event officially hosted by Nintendo in Las Vegas in front of a live audience that used these same costumes from the commercial, where the characters duked it out in a scripted wrestling match.
That's so cool.
And this event was called Slamfest 99.
Oh man. And where was this?
At the MGM Grand Adventures theme park in Las Vegas.
Outstanding.
I will say they missed out on the opportunity to call this Smash Fest.
Yeah, that's true. I think they used the term Slamfest in the commercial, so maybe that's where they got it from.
But yeah, it could possibly be.
But anyways, what's really interesting about this is that the wrestling match was live streamed on Nintendo's website in 1999 via Real Player.
Oh.
Yeah, a live stream.
Who knew that could be a thing? Yeah.
Imagine how granular that video output was at that time.
Oh yeah, it was probably like 160 by 144 or something crazy low like that.
Yeah.
But despite it being broadcast on the website, absolutely zero video footage of it is known to exist anywhere on the modern internet. Not even a secondhand recording. It's totally, completely lost.
Wow.
No one has
insane.
this.
Somebody Are there photos? Are there still photos of something? Like,
yes. So there's
did it even happen? Do we know?
That's the thing. Like, are you guys familiar with Game Explain?
A little bit, yeah.
Andre from Game Explain published a tweet about two or so years ago, vaguely recalling this event, and he wasn't even sure that it existed.
Yeah,
he's like, does anyone remember this live stream from 1999? Use these same costumes from the commercial, and everyone's like, oh, you're just remembering the commercial or whatever. But turns out that it was actually a thing, and the best we have are these really grainy images from like some random fan site and a handful of corroborating news blurbs about it, but that's it. There's nothing else.
Well, I mean, just think about it. In 99, in order to get a picture, like you're gonna have to bring a camera in there. There's no phones with cell phones with cameras at this time.
Yeah. Who's setting up their camcorder in their dad's
set up
office
their camcorder
to shoot their computer screen? That's a good call. Yeah,
I have to imagine that this probably was like a very low, people watching it. Like the views are probably down and everything. Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's probably. I mean, it all checks out that it'd be hard to get footage of it today.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't easy to save a Real Player video back then.
No.
But
some of them you couldn't save.
Exactly. And the fact that Smash didn't have that cultural cachet back then was like, you don't have these hardcore fans who are lining up to watch and save every little detail.
Yeah.
But I could totally spend like a whole podcast just talking about this. The whole mystery surrounding this is just fascinating to me. And there's a whole search effort going on right now that's been going on for like
people.
Ever since that Game Explain tweet. The Lost Media Wiki has launched a search effort to find this broadcast. And it's a really crazy story. If you want to learn more about it, you can watch these videos by a YouTuber, L Supersonic Q. He's got like 4 of them that covers the story of everything that's been searched so far. Highly recommended.
I would say
Nintendo
that
has this.
Yeah, I don't, or a marketing company has it, because I'm assuming that Nintendo themselves didn't put this on, but they hired a marketing company to do a stunt.
That's
but it'd be
exactly
crazy to think that there wasn't some person at that marketing company, or just like a nerd there in Vegas with a camcorder. Like, that seems crazy to me. I bet you it's sitting on somebody's like VHS stack in their basement somewhere from their Vegas trip, and they just don't even realize
recorded over it.
Yeah, it's gonna get unearthed at some point. I'll also say, just as an aside, that Nintendo at this time was strangely like had a lean in angle, both for, like, we're talking about these commercials and how good their marketing was, or how edgy their marketing was. And again, I think they had to do that because PlayStation had really stepped it up and had Crash Bandicoot calling them out from like the car next to them kind of thing, like, so there was some heat there. It wasn't just like Sega does what Nintendo don't. This was like you guys are lame and we're awesome kind of stuff. But I don't know, Bozo, you might be too young for did you do Camp High? I think Camp Hyrule went on for a while. Every summer, Nintendo, starting in like the mid 90s, would do this like community thing where there was these sub chat rooms and activities, and it was like a virtual camp that you'd go to on the internet, which seems like a breeding ground for terrible, terrible things, and something that Nintendo would never do now is invite children into random chat rooms. But back then, like, you just you hung out in the treehouse and talked to some weirdos, and like it was just a bunch of Nintendo nerds on the internet, which thankfully Dan and John and you guys have fostered again here as we're all older. But the original RetroLogic community was Camp Hyrule, set up by Nintendo themselves.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not super surprised that they actually had some sort of live streamy kind of thing. Like they were doing some stuff back then that then I think the curtain gets shut down,
Yeah, things change. And as you mentioned earlier, like, yeah, you said you weren't sure how well this game sold. I did notice that, it was pretty successful for Nintendo 64. Looks like it sold just about 2 million copies in Japan and 3 million in the States. It's a pretty good run for a 64 game.
All right, so I have some questions here. So we talked about mains, but I would like to talk about stages, because there are some good stages and then there are some bad stages, or there are some stages that I guess I don't prefer. So I don't know, Bozo, do you have a preferred stage here? Did you have a go-to that you and your friends would do?
Oh man,
Smash
64 had such good stages, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like I think the whole like ethos behind their stages back then is so much more restrained than it is now. in terms of like the stage hazards.
Some of them were very tight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think back then they were so much more focused on just making a well-designed stage instead of trying to cram it full of like enemies that are going to try to attack you and whatnot. But there is just still some of that in like the
There's
Saffron
Pokemon.
City one, right?
I mean, Saffron City is like that door in Saffron City is just nightmare inducing.
Yeah. Stuff comes out of there.
I still don't know what that Porygon says. Like he comes out and says Klefki or something. I don't know. It was just terrifying. The Voltorb comes out and you're like, everybody run.
Boom. But yeah, I think my favorite has to be Temple. It was such a
the Hyrule Castle?
Stage.
Yeah, the Hyrule Temple.
Or sorry.
Yeah,
Hyrule Castle. Temple's the one from Melee.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, Hyrule Castle was great, and Hyrule Castle again had that verticality. You had a couple different levels. You got to the far right, the far left, and then you had that tower that you could go up and down. It gave you a lot of options to move around in, whereas like the Kirby level, like Dreamland, was just you're fighting each other. Like there's nothing else that can happen there.
You can't.
You're not going anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the competitive neutral stage for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. How does everybody it is. How does everybody feel about Peach's Castle for that same reason? Because that has the bumper at the top, I think, right?
Yep.
And then the sliding thing along the bottom, which is a hazard in and of itself, I guess, in some ways, you know.
I'm a fan.
I like the music in Princess Peach's Castle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The music is very nostalgic, and the mechanics and the hazards, it just adds, a bit more flair to it because you have all these things that you have to kind of keep in mind while you're trying to defeat your opponents. But overall, the music and the obstacles and different things like that, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
That stage was so like abstract too, wasn't it? Because it wasn't like
it was like an amalgam of Mario 64 motifs, right?
Floating.
Objects. Yeah. So it was like there was a bumper and the slanted thing here and whatever. Like, yeah, it felt like a collective fever dream of Mario 64. And so again, and I'm obviously playing favorites here, but for me, Sector Z, like the Star Fox thing, where you're just playing along the top of Great Fox. I like to have a wide open battlefield for like 2/3 of the thing. You're just like, there's no platforms, there's no anything. You're just fighting, but you can run and tuck under that like dorsal fin of the thing and hang in the back area there, hope that the R-Wing doesn't come along and shoot you,
but like stuck in there.
But ultimately, I don't know about you guys, like ultimately that would be the death pit, like ultimately like someone would be down there waiting for you, and like everybody would have to go down there to get that guy, and then everyone would just be fighting in that tight little space right at the back of the ship. And it was like the design, I don't know if they thought about it or not at the time, but the design was so good to just like corral disputes. Like ultimately it always wound up with some dudes just beating the crud out of each other at the back of the Great Fox. It was so fun.
Yeah, I played that stage a lot with my uncle. That was his favorite stage. Every time we got together to play Smash Brothers, he always wanted to go to Sector Z because there's no crazy pits. It's pretty much all leveled out. There's not too much that you have to do to kind of maneuver, except for that random R ring that comes and shoots you.
Yeah. But you know where that is.
Agree.
Yeah. Now, wait, John, did you have a favorite level?
I don't know. I played all of them so many times. I like the Mushroom Kingdom. I like the randomness.
Well, so Mushroom Kingdom, because I think you had to work for that one. I'm pretty sure you had to play through all the versus stuff, because there was all that other stuff that you had to do, like that break the target, like all of those like weird little bonus stages or whatever. But I think you had to do something. I'm blanking on what it is, but that was an unlockable. Was it?
Was that board the platforms? Or
maybe. there was something you had to do to unlock Mushroom Kingdom, because that's the one with the dolly in the middle, right? Like the thing that drops off in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one.
The classic NES looking one. Yeah, that wasn't unlocked from the beginning. That's like the unlockable stage, the only unlockable stage.
That's what I was trying to. It is. Let's see. I was trying to see if it
Here it
says
is. It
how
says
to.
if you complete all 8 one-player games for the initial characters and play on all 8 arenas in versus mode, you can open up the hidden Super Mario stage. Around
Oh.
it features 3D graphics of the NES Classic. That's what this says. So yeah, so I had to unlock that. And speaking of unlockables, you had Jigglypuff, Ness, and Ness. I didn't know who that was. Like I definitely remember getting 64, and I had no idea who Ness was because I hadn't played Earthbound. Who's that guy? And then Luigi and Captain Falcon. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy that there was only 9 stages in this game.
Yeah.
Felt more vast than that playing it as a kid, but I guess that's all you needed.
Yeah,
Did anybody really enjoy playing at Zeebs?
It was destructible, right? It was because you could break those
the
little
lava
tendons.
comes up.
Oh, okay. But I think you can break the little tendons that hold the platforms on that one. I can't.
Yes,
You can, and they
into play. Yeah.
makes them go to an angle. Like it doesn't change a whole lot.
Oh
but,
no, that's in Melee. That's
Yeah.
Melee.
Oh,
You're
is
right.
it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of it now. It's just platforms when the lava comes up. You're right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, just a lot of platforms.
Yeah.
I would have a crazy match with Planet Zeeves, because what I would do, this is how abstract my mind was when I was playing as a kid. I would turn up the damage ratio all the way up to
No.
think about 300, have like
License to Kill.
99 lives.
Yeah.
Pokeballs only on Planet Zeeves.
Yo. Mute Dog, you and I, same, like Pokeballs only
Chaos.
was so much freaking fun because
It
you
is.
knew that you were about to win, and then you got a Goldeen, and you're like, oh no, and then a Snorlax comes out of your buddy's thing, and it's over. Like, dude, the Pokeball chaos. I mean, the items in general in this, like the beam swords, the star wands, the bombs, the home run bat. The
motion sensor
hammer,
bomb.
the wherever. I mean, I'm guessing that came from GoldenEye. Like, I don't even know where that
Yep.
came from. They just threw that in there. That's
They
a Nintendo
totally did.
thing. Who knows? But yeah, Pokeballs, dude. I couldn't believe, again, like wrapping my head around what this game was. I was in awe of the fact that they were able to even program like a handful of these things, like that there was more than just one thing that came out of a Pokeball.
Right.
Was amazing to me. There was this one thing. So I said like the Porygon comes out of Saffron City and just says like Cleffy or something. Like I don't know what the sound effect was, but there's a Hitmonlee that you can get out of the Pokeball, but it says Primeape, and like I always wondered if maybe they just didn't sync up with whoever did the localization of the sound or something, and they did the wrong Pokemon or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you listen to Hitmonlee when it like it stands there and it says Primeape, ape, and it just like fires off and it kicks you randomly, right?
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
did
like,
not know he said primate.
I don't
Wow.
know what that is. Like, why does it say Primeape? Who are you? You're a Hitmonlee.
Mind blown right now.
Go back and listen to it. Go get yourself a Hitmonlee that says Primeape.
Yeah.
There's a story there somewhere. I'd love to know it. Yeah.
I guarantee someone can shine light on that. But
Yeah. Yeah. This game, I think you said it before, like settling disputes, just like you would challenge people to do stuff. The fact that you could tweak certain things about how the game flowed, Yeah, it was so solid, and it gave everybody versatility. I could play this with my sister, who is like 3 years younger than me and didn't play video games. And when she figured out Pikachu's moveset because she liked Pokemon and could just do that like thunder move and whatever and the little zap, and she actually beat me. You know, like there was like a leveling of the playing ground a little bit here, where someone could kind of get good with their subset of their moves and kick butt.
Okay, so what you were saying about Hitmonlee,
Mm-hmm.
it says here that the in Super Smash Bros. In the Western release, it says Hitmonlee retains its Japanese voiceovers rather than being dubbed like in the anime.
Weird. Yeah,
That
so I
is weird.
wonder. But that doesn't fully explain why he's saying the name of another Pokemon, unless I'm hearing it wrong all
It
these
could
years.
be,
Who
yeah.
knows?
It could
Yeah.
be he's saying something and maybe.
So maybe Hitmonlee's Japanese name is something more akin to what Primeape sounds like in English. So maybe
That could be it.
he's saying whatever Hitmonlee's thing is. And to me, I was thinking Pokemon, and I'm like, well, he's
I'll,
saying Primeape. Yeah.
I'll try to see if I could find a soundbite, and if I can, I'll throw it in the episode.
Yeah. It's so weird, dude. So I was never good at grabs. I didn't ever get good at like the kind of R trigger with the shield and stuff. Like I could roll around a little bit or whatever, but it was never my strength. Um, did you guys use shield much? Like I feel like that was like a tactic I never got the handle of in this game. I was shielding up.
Yeah, I
I
would.
used it. Oh, go for it, Mute Dog.
I was gonna say, yeah, I would shield. Grab, it was kind of a hit or miss. One of my friends who is very I guess you could say like very avid in Smash Bros. Just plays like a lot. That's all he does, and it drives me nuts. But yeah, every now and again it shields, but don't break Jigglypuff shields. She goes flying.
True.
Yeah, I had one friend who got really good at Jigglypuff. Like that was the first time when I saw that somebody could dial in and get nasty. Like you time in that like sleep hit, like that down B sleep
Sleep
hit.
is so OP.
Oh my god. But like if you can do it, like he would do it mid jump at one point, which now, I mean, I've seen everything in Smash. You watch competitive Smash on Twitch or whatever, and it's like people are doing stuff that I can't even process. But like the
Exactly.
first time that this dude like mid air sleep killed me, I'm like, I don't even know what game I'm playing anymore. What is this? You know? How did you fall asleep and kill me? What is this? Yeah.
Now, was there a throw in the first in 64?
Yes, a
Yep.
forward throw and a back throw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the throws in 64 are very powerful relative to the other Smash games. Like I know like Pikachu's back throw is just
Toss.
nuts.
Yes.
It's super
hard.
strong.
Yeah.
Such a good kill option.
Yeah, and Samus had the grappling beam at this point, right? And Link had the hook shot. And Kirby has that like pile driver thing that just like destroys you. Oh, no, wait, Captain Falcon's beat up is that explosive hug. Yeah. I
Right.
forget
Yep.
he doesn't have like a special grab.
Yeah, just trying to remember when all the different things were introduced in Smash. Like, I always forget that Smash 64 had quite a bit of it.
Yeah, they blur
It just
together a
feels like
little
it was
bit for
more
sure.
watered down.
Yeah.
There's a surprising amount of depth even in Smash 64. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but Sakurai himself ran a Super Smash Brothers dojo website.
No.
You might be familiar with the one for Brawl, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had one all the way back for 64.
Wow.
And this went into like some of the deeper mechanics, like Z canceling, and some of the more advanced like movement options. But yeah, Z canceling is essentially a technique where you can perform an aerial, and normally when you land, you're stuck in like the animation. but if you press the Z button right as you land, it cancels that animation out, and so you can move on to your next thing quicker.
Oh wow. See, that's the deep stuff about this game where I'm just like, I'm in awe. It's like speedrunners where I'm like, the things that people have figured out to cut a micro move or a frame or something like that to get something done. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, I think this is like the first time Samus and Ness were in 3D too, by the way.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I mean, Ness for sure. Like, I wonder. We all know that there was a canceled Earthbound 64. There was rumors that there was some kind of Metroid 64 thing, but I think a lot of that's been quashed. Like, they have come out and said that Metroid 64 was never really made because they couldn't come up with an idea of how Metroid would work on the Nintendo 64. So I think you're right. Like, I don't think either of these were in 3 miles. And the Pokemon, we had Stadium, but I don't think we had Stadium yet. I think Stadium comes later. So it might have also been and Falcon too. Yeah, a bunch of these things. DK64 is
November.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
lots of these characters didn't have 3D models at this point.
Yeah, Yoshi. We saw him at the top of the castle. Yeah, Fox we'd only seen in his in like cutscenes and stuff. So no, it's a good call out. Like, there was something kind of special about seeing them all presented like that. Again, it's funny to look back at now. Mario 64 looks kind of janky and polygonal and whatever, but at the time it was so cool to see Mario in 3D. Like, it was kind of magical. And then, yeah, you're right. There's something really special about seeing Samus in 3D. Like, yeah, she's a beast. Just a call out, like, I want this on NSO real bad. Like, I am excited for GoldenEye, with all of the issues that come along with playing GoldenEye in the modern era. Like, I'm still jazzed that we'll get to play online GoldenEye Nintendo 64. But when they made that announcement, I'm like, I just want Smash. Like, I know we have Ultimate. I got it. It's great. Like, sure. But I want to play Smash 64, partially because I still am in touch and close with my friends that I was having sleepovers with, and they've all moved on. Some of them are PC gamers. One has a PS5, but like, they're all talking about getting Switches to play GoldenEye, like all of us together. And I'm kind of thinking, like, well, we could play Smash too, you know? Like, once we realize that GoldenEye's not that good, because we still play it when we all get together, and then we're like, yeah, this isn't that great. But Smash 64, I think, holds up. Like, John, you'd said, like, it's floaty, it's slower. You know, if you play a lot of modern Smash, I think you feel it more. But it still holds up. Like, you can play this game, and it's really fun.
Has it been announced to come out for NSO?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. Oh, I wish.
Right? And it can't be that hard to do. Like, maybe like matchmaking is tough. I don't know, but it's got to be doable.
Well, the matchmaking stuff is all the emulator. Like, they already have that. It's like,
yeah. So
need to bring this over.
My tin hat on all of that then is that there's another plan. Like, we didn't get the Mario parties initially because they were doing Superstars, and so there's a part of me that has thought, like, maybe we are getting the Turok kind of treatment. Like, maybe we're going to get some sort of like Smash Retro or Smash Classic or something that is just a throwback that they're going to upcharge us a little bit for. Because I'd pay it. Yeah, I'd pay it. Like, of course. But that's just me wishing I had it and trying to justify why I don't.
It was released once already on Wii Virtual Console.
It was, but it didn't have online multiplayer, right?
Correct.
No.
Yeah. But I think there's reason to be optimistic about that. I feel like out of all the Smash games, I feel like 64 has a simplistic charm to it that the other ones didn't quite replicate. I think that of all of them, that 64 has the best chance of getting re-released, especially if they have just the NSO online with it.
You think over Melee, because Melee became the standard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nintendo probably sees anything past 64 as being maybe like a competitor to Ultimate in a sense. Because if you think about it from a very high level standpoint, everything that's in Melee is pretty much in Ultimate, even though, I mean, there's gameplay differences and whatnot and adventure mode, but in terms of like characters and stages and items and whatnot, it's already in Ultimate, and so they maybe wouldn't want
pretty
to
much
eat their own cake.
It's a good call.
So by the time December rolls around this year, I know that's like a whole nother year, but I mean, Smash Ultimate's 4 years old. It'll be 5 years old this year.
That's true.
Get ready for it to be 8 years old, John. Like that's I don't think we're getting a new Smash for a very long time.
Well, no, I don't think we're getting a new one, but I mean, it might be giving them a reason to revisit some of the older ones.
Yeah, no, I think it's I think it's the Superstars effect. Like I think that I think we'll see what they did with Mario Party either in an NSO kind of thing or in some sort of cleanup revamp. They've got to do something with this.
Like a Smash Brothers Ultimate Deluxe.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting remakes of Wii games, so
yeah,
it's gotta fit in there somewhere.
One thing I wanted to bring up was, do you guys remember the congratulations screens in Smash 64 when you would complete a single player mode with a character?
Yeah, I do.
You remember that?
Congratulations!
I sure do.
And each one was unique to each character.
Yeah.
Right.
I find these super interesting to look at, and they're all on the Smash Wiki, but some of them are just like really funny to look at because they look like they were just like mock up in MS Paint or something, or some like really abstract 3D render.
Oh wow!
Like Donkey Kong's is really funny looking.
I don't know if I remember these. Hold on, I'm looking at this now because I
Ness,
can't. Yeah, this doesn't even look.
Ness has a really good one too. It's got the little drawing of the Blues Brothers guys from Earthbound in there.
These are real?
Yeah.
I'm seeing the same thing as you're seeing. Did I only ever beat the game as Samus and Link and Fox? Like these three look familiar to me. Samus, Link, and Fox. I must have never beaten the game with the others. The Mario one, again, I don't trust the internet, dude. Is it the thing where he's holding a #1 flag and it says "You are great"?
Yes,
that's not. This isn't real. This isn't real.
That's totally real.
This is a Berenstain Bears moment. No. All right.
The Yoshi one is hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was always my favorite.
I'm pulling this up here. This seems
he's like stuck in the box.
No.
So I think that was supposed to be based off of Yoshi's story.
Yeah, Yoshi's story.
Yeah. Wow, these things are
Pikachu
janky.
with the Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, that Luigi one is weird. Wow. Thank you for calling this out because I did not remember this. And
yeah, I totally forgot. I just remember the announcer saying congratulations. Like
the Kirby one is so stupid.
Yep.
What was that one again?
The Kirby one is just it's like a weird
star.
It's him on a, but it just says "Let's go, go, go." What? Why is it? Am I missing a thing? I don't know the Kirby meta. I need Flightsy here. Why? What's "Let's go, go, go"?
Maybe they were preparing for Kirby Air Ride later on.
Yeah, I think Fox's is probably the best one.
Yeah, Fox's is dope, and I remember that. I remember Fox's and Samus's. I think I remember Link's. I guess those were my characters. So I guess I just never beat the game
with anybody else.
Yeah, I guess not.
Someone had to make that render of Samus's helmet too, right? Because that's a 3D.
Yeah. It's just weird.
That's
like
interesting.
So the Donkey Kong one, you're right. The Donkey Kong one looks like absolute garbage.
Clip art.
It looks like clip art. And then the Samus one is so awesome. Like that
Did you
thing
see
of her.
Jigglypuffs?
I mean, what with the graffiti?
The graffiti, yeah.
This is a podcast. This is a podcast.
Yeah,
I hope
know.
everybody who's listening to this podcast is Googling Smash congratulations screens, because I'm sorry. Like, and what does this? Thank you for playing. Yes, I'm number one, is what Captain Falcon says. That is so cool, actually. I want to do something with this.
Set as a profile picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I gotta do something for that.
Yeah, no,
you can get them as t-shirts. Yeah,
I forgot all about them.
Another
I feel like
kind of
the announcer person for like every Nintendo game was the same there for a while. Like the guy that did the Smash voice sounds like the guy that was in Wave Race, and like just it all sounds the same in my head.
Yeah. Man.
Another kind of mode that's off to the side is also the character gallery. So when you unlock a character, it opens up a new gallery item for that character, and this is also interesting because it's totally a precursor to trophies in Melee and Brawl and onward.
It also is a precursor to the overarching place that Smash has in the gaming community as a whole, right? Like, each character, unlockables aside, had their own stage. Now all the unlockables have their own stages. Each of those characters with their own stages also had their music represented on those stages. And in great form, like each song was a banger for its subsequent game. Although some of it was unique, like it wasn't even based on the games. As I'm thinking about some of them, right? Like some of them, what's the dun 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 dun? No, that's Kirby.
Dreamland.
That's Kirby. Yeah, that's Kirby. Yeah, Flightsy's gonna kill me. I just don't know my Kirby. I just don't know Kirby well enough. I'm sorry, Flightsy. But yeah, this game is like celebrating the breadth of the different franchises, and that's such a special thing that Smash does to this day. And it's this beast of a game now, because it encompasses things that aren't just Nintendo. But as a Nintendo fanboy, like, this scratched every itch. It was like they did justice to Metroid. They did justice to Star Fox. It just felt like such a cool celebration. And then you used the celebratory things to beat up your friends. Like, you couldn't ask for anything better as a teenage boy, to like have a birthday party and then throw the cake at each other, basically, Yeah, it's so cool.
And something that you guys touched on earlier, you got a chance to see characters that you're not familiar with. Like, you brought up how, Ness, like, who was that? We didn't know Earthbound at the time.
Right.
Me personally, I stuck with, I knew Mario, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, but at that time I didn't know who Link was. I didn't know about Samus. So that's the cool thing about Smash in general, is that they introduce characters that you never even heard of. And even in later games, it's like, oh, I've never heard of this character. You're good at them in Smash, so it's like, you know what, I'm gonna kind of experiment with their game to see what their origin is.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. I mean, yeah, I definitely had that. I remember when they introduced Marth and Roy later on, and I had played. I think I had played the GBA Fire Emblem at that point, so I had some idea of what Fire Emblem was, but we had no idea who those characters were. They weren't anything out over here, and it just made me want to dig into what Fire Emblem was, because I had no idea that there were 6 games or whatever that had been released prior to that, only in Japan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Roy is an interesting case too, because his game, he debuted in Smash. His game was delayed.
Oh.
And Fire Emblem 6 came out, The Binding Blade came out after Smash Melee.
Yep.
No way.
Interestingly.
Huh.
Yeah, which people would have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
We'd have to wait to find out. But at least we got that one in the States.
No, we didn't. I have a
thought,
bootleg of it that I'm playing through right now.
but I thought he was in the. Isn't Roy in the GameCube game?
No, that's Ike.
Oh, geez, that is
yeah,
Ike.
no, Roy. So it's interesting. So Roy is technically the sequel to the first game that comes out stateside, but it comes out as a prequel. So basically, like the Roy game comes out, which is the Binding Blade, I believe it is.
Yes.
Binding Blade comes out in Japan only for the GBA. Then the prequel to that, which I think Ellie Wood is his father. I'm trying to remember. I'm playing it right now, and I still
You're
don't
right.
remember. But Ellie Wood is his father, and you play as him in the prequel, and that's the first stateside game.
Nice.
Mute Dog, you play Fire Emblem?
I sure do, and I'm looking forward to the new one coming out.
Yeah, man. All right, we won't turn this into that. We're not going to turn this into that. But John, if you ever want to do a Fire Emblem conversation, it sounds like you got two dudes here who are ready for it.
Man, I'm gonna have to become better versed with the older games. Like, I am a later Fire Emblem, starting with Awakening. So
yeah, but that's why you got us. So it's cool.
Yeah, this is very true. I am definitely down to let the discussion, on those games lead itself with other people. I'll just hang out and throw, anything that I can in. But yeah, definitely starting with Awakening. I definitely don't have the vast Fire Emblem knowledge that I could have if I had more time
and money, because some of those things are expensive now.
Oh man, yeah. So another thing too that I knew about this, but I've forgotten about over time. But all the characters on the selection screen are all placed in order of when their games appeared.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You guys know so many things.
Something they revisited in Ultimate eventually.
Yeah, I think so.
So wow, it is.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's funny whenever you look at it, and I guess whenever they were trying to get when they were still developing the game, Marth was going to be one of the unlockable characters in the first game.
Wow.
And didn't make it. Which is pretty interesting. And I guess this game is also the only one that is rated E. All the rest of them would get T ratings.
Oh. So Smash Brothers was growing up.
Yep. Can't hit somebody. You don't hit.
Smash is also, I think, one of the few N64 games to be 60 frames per second, too, on N64.
I think you're right.
Because what else was there? Like F-Zero X and probably like some 2D ones like Mischief Makers.
Yeah. I mean, F-Zero X had to be.
Yeah.
And one other interesting thing that I remember doing, I don't know if you guys caught this, but if you do a smash attack to your opponent, if you ever pause like at the exact impact when you landed a smash attack, there'll be like a little white cloud right over where you hit your opponent. I always thought that was interesting. I wondered if they did that to, I guess, prevent showing violence or whatnot.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, as
So
a
maybe that's
form
why it
of
was rated
censorship.
Yeah, a form of censorship. Exactly.
It could just be adding like a sense of impact to the
it could be a lighting effect that you're catching when you pause the game at a certain frame.
Yeah, Sakurai definitely, he loves that kind of stuff. If you ever watch his YouTube videos about game development, he goes into a lot of animation tricks like that. Yeah, so it could be that.
I see.
Nice.
And what I also like too, like I always played the mess out of classic mode. I wish that they can bring back that rendition of classic mode. I mean, Ultimate is pretty good too. They have like, different things for different characters, like a certain theme. But 64 classic mode, I mean, giant Donkey Kong, those Yoshis, Kirby team, the fighting Polygon team. I mean,
Yeah.
Metal
very
Mario.
nostalgic.
Metal
Mario.
Yeah.
That
Metal
sucker
Mario,
every
yes,
time.
that music.
Master Hand.
Speaking of music, do you guys want to discuss the music a little bit, the selection?
Sure.
Master Hand music. Oh, I
Yeah,
always be jamming to that one.
Yeah, this game had so much good music in it. Just a testament to all the good games and characters that it draws from. But I mean, they did a very good job sampling all the music they had available.
Yeah, it was like a remix album, basically, right?
Basically, yeah.
Like you basically got like a banging track, like the best representative track of each of those games, remixed for it. But that's what I was stumbling on before. There was unique music for it, right? Because the character select thing has a fun little like menu, like a jaunty menu thing. I'm trying to think. Is there the Master Hand song? Is that the only other than unique thing, like composed specifically for the game?
I think they're the main theme, right?
Yeah,
I think Metal Mario has as a unique track
has
too.
its own thing.
It's very like
Oh,
percussive.
yeah. Even like the menu when you select the character, that music,
Yeah,
Yep.
even though it's very short, it's very rememberable. I can't talk.
The sound design in general is top notch. So many
Yeah,
iconic sounds like the hammer and
I was gonna say the hammer, dude. When you hear that,
Run!
Yeah.
everybody runs. Yeah,
and the home run bat, the
Yeah.
shing.
Oh, that impact with that home run bat, man.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Iconic.
I mean, just as Liam was getting into earlier, the Kirby music, like just everything is so memorable. Like
yeah,
Right.
and it's I don't think it's just from playing this game for so many hours, but just like the first time you hear it, like it's just super great. Like everything about it.
yeah. I mean, they would go on to lean into that a bunch, and they would release like CDs of the later Smash OSTs.
There was a soundtrack CD for this game as well.
Was there?
Yeah.
There was?
Why don't I have it? I mean, I gotta find that. Now I gotta go on Discogs. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
I was just looking. So I guess the staff role at the end, I couldn't remember what it looked like in this, but that has its own composed song, and apparently it's been remixed, but it's always like the same kind of it's the same song that they just remix for each Smash game. But there's always that same staff roll song, which now I have to go back and listen to because I think that one was pretty dope too.
Yeah, and even did they? Yeah, they had the credit roll where you could like shoot the credits, like
I'm
which
pretty
was
sure that was in this one.
yeah, which is. I mean, it carried on into the other ones too, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Melee have a similar?
Yeah, they all have them. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, I mean, brand new ideas coming all across this game. Like there wasn't a game that had credits that were interactive. You just watched. Credits were always a thing. Like you beat the game and you just like put your controller down, you walk off, go do something, go to the bathroom, whatever. Let them roll until try to see if there's something afterwards or not. But this game had a different view of that. They wanted you to interact with it.
Hands down the best credits in any game.
Oh man, yes. I just
Especially
remember being
Melees.
it the first time and being like, "What is this? What's going on?"
There's another game.
I think they spelled Charles Martinet's name wrong in this one.
No.
I could be misremembering. I'm pretty sure they spelled it with like 2 E's at the end instead of ET.
Oh no!
How
And I
dare
met Charles
you.
Martinet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. At like a convention or something?
Yep. MomoCon.
Nice. Very cool. He seems like a cool dude.
Oh yeah, he was.
So I think that the original OST on disc was only in Japan. Liam, you might
Okay.
have to.
Doing some importing.
Might have to.
All right.
I know for sure that the Melee one is local, but
Yeah, I have a CD, I think, of that one. Well, I got it.
but
And I don't know if you guys heard of this, but I remember it was in an interview with Sakurai, like the hidden stage that was in Smash Brothers, where it's like the original Super Mario Brothers level. If you remember off to the side, there was a Buzzy Beetle that was bouncing off a trampoline.
There
If you can
was?
remember that.
in which level?
No.
It
In
was
the
the Super
unlockable
Mario
one?
Brothers level. It was like a Buzzy Beetle that was bouncing up and down on a trampoline, and I always thought that that was kind of interesting because Buzzy Beetles don't do that. But come to find out that before the game was shipped out to be launched and whatnot, what happened was that his wife programmed into the game, and she told him that she did it until the game was released. It's a little subtle thing that happens.
Oh, yeah,
Mm.
I know. It's in the background.
It's in the
Yeah. I'm
background.
looking at it right now. Oh my god.
I always thought that was interesting, but yeah, it was his wife that actually implemented that in the game right before it got shipped to launch.
And wait, she said why? Just like
Just a
as a
little Easter
troll?
egg.
Oh my gosh. Guys, there's so many Berenstain moments in this episode, in this conversation. I'm looking at this Buzzy Beetle and I swear it's never been there before.
Oh,
But I believe you. Like, I totally believe you, Mute Dog. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, since when is that there? What? That's so weird.
yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I got into that stage. I was like, why is that Buzzy Beetle bouncing? But I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't normally do that.
No.
Kind of out of character. Yeah, so I think we've kind of highlighted all the things I can think of. Do you guys have any last thoughts on anything before we close it out?
Not for me.
No, just bring it to NSO, man. I know that the
Please.
64 controllers have been hard to come by. Um, I I did buy this on Wii. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. I don't know how that plays. Like, did either of you played the emulated version when they released it?
I did.
Yeah. And how did
Yeah,
it feel? Did you play it with like a classic controller or something like that?
I played it on my gamepad,
Okay.
and it felt okay.
Okay. I don't know how I'm playing this game without. I mean, I have one for the Switch, so I think I'm good.
I
But
wonder
like,
how well this. I wonder how well this translates to like a GameCube controller.
yeah, I mean, it's the
it's
concern I have about GoldenEye too. Like I said, like I've got one of my four friends I used to play with that has a Switch, and he doesn't have the 64 controller, and you can't get that stuff. And so like even if my friends do all go out and buy Switches and we start playing GoldenEye, are they just playing it on a Pro controller? And does that feel okay? Maybe it feels better. Maybe you can actually strafe because you got twin sticks. Um, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know if it's
know.
been updated in any way. None of the other ones have. So
Yeah, I don't know how this feels doing, B smashes and the hard smash moves and stuff like that. Like, without having the 64 controller in your hand. So I'm interested to see how it if they do this, how it feels. Um, but I'd be excited for it. I'm sure people are very good at this game, and so I will play it on the internet and lose all the time. But I will have a lot of fun doing it, so that's cool. Bring it to NSO.
let's do it. All right. last call has been made, so we'll go ahead and start up the intro or the outro. We don't want to do this over again.
It was fun.
It was.
Yes, as Liam knows, the difficulties of doing a podcast episode twice.
Oof.
That's not fun. But no, we'll go ahead and start up the outro and get out of here. And how this is going to work is we'll just go down the line and you guys can share anything that you want about anything you have going on. If you're creating any content of any kind, this is the time and place. And we'll start with Liam.
Yeah. So I co-host a podcast as part of the RetroLogic family of podcasts called RetroGroove. We're a music history, music conversation podcast. Fun thing about that actually gels nicely with this On Topic Retro series is also the kind of evergreen nature of what we do. It's not super news oriented or anything to that effect, so you can kind of just skip around. If we've got about 50 episodes now, I think, just about, and so you can kind of just dive in, and if you see something that gels with your musical tastes, check us out. We have a lot of fun, and you can learn some cool factoids. Adam and I collectively have a lot of weird random knowledge about every kind of genre of music that you can imagine. So come check us out. RetroGroove_pod on Twitter, and we have some fun in the Discord community with these fine folks as well.
Yes, that can also be found at retrologic.games.
That's right.
All right. Go check that out. Bozo, do you have anything that you create?
I wouldn't say so. Well, I'm Infinite Blue GX on GitHub. I do some Wii homebrew development from time to time.
Whoa.
Cool.
I'm also pretty active at the Lost Media Discord about Slamfest '99. If anyone's interested in talking about that, or just you want to talk about like Bayonetta, or just want to chat, just feel free to reach out to me on Discord. I'm Bozo 6646.
Awesome. Yes. Man, Wii homebrew stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's surprisingly active still too, which is always good to see.
Man, there's 100 million of them out there. I would hope so.
It's a killer 240p setup also.
Nice. Mute Dog, you can close us out with yours if you have anything.
Yes. So I'm Mute Dog the Gamer. I'm a content creator on YouTube. And I have a weekly segment called Work for Games. That's a little thing that I started with my friends. And basically what it is, where we got the name originally is, when it comes to responsibilities and having to get things done in the real life, that's stuff we don't want to do. However, when it comes to video games, those are things that we do want to work on. We want to beat a game. We want to get, unlock achievements, get further in the games, different things like that. So on my page, we mainly just play games, both modern and retro, and we try to basically make games fun. We make them as enjoyable as possible. We know that there's some things in some games that could be a little annoying, but we always focus on the positive aspect of it. So you can find me on YouTube, Mute Dog the Gamer, Work for Games. Recently started a Discord server, so most of them I know quite a bit from the RetroLogic. So we have a great time there. I stream weekly, so you can find me on YouTube, Mute Dog the Gamer, Work for Games.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Cool.
Definitely go check out Mute Dog. I know I will, now that I think I've seen you post some things and I just haven't checked it out, but I will definitely make sure to hop over there and do so now.
Thank you.
And just want to thank all four of you, or three of you guys, for hopping on here with me and doing this episode kind of last minute. It sometimes it's kind of hard to find people last minute, and I usually end up finding just a single person. So it's kind of nice to have more than a single person to talk to for a show every once in a while.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, no problem at all. So the next show that we'll do is on the Retro Rewind game for January, and the community selected Fire and Ice. This game's on the NSO NES app for the Switch. I don't recommend that you try to go find a copy of this game for the NES. It's like $200. I think I talked about it on RetroLogic. I think it's actually cheaper to buy a Switch and subscribe to the NSO than it is to find this game and buy an NES to play it. If you
Pretty
didn't have
crazy.
it already. Yeah. Yeah, join us next time for that one. We'll be playing that through the rest of the month, and then we'll do a show on it at the end of the month here, and that'll be the next one. And that will close us out. Thanks for listening on Topic Retro, part of the RetroLogic family of podcasts. If you'd like to send in your personal experiences for the next show but don't have Discord, you can send them to ontopicretro@gmail.com. If you haven't joined our wonderful non-toxic Discord over, you can hop over onto retrologic.games and find out all the details there on how to join us. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything to be a part of our Discord. Just come out, hang out, talk to everybody about video games. It's very welcoming. You're not gonna catch any backlash for any video games that you're playing, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We try to just incorporate a family friendly environment for the most part in the community, and just want to be inviting for anybody that wants to come talk video games. We know there can kind of be a stigma around it, depending on where you're hanging out in other communities or even just in everyday life. Like it still seems like it's kind of looked down upon to be an adult playing video games.
Yeah.
Which is
it's a
sad.
good group of people. Like the Discord community is a really special spot.
It is. And it's just a good free place to come and hang out and get to talk about all these things with people that are interested in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the Discord in a nutshell, and that's the end of this episode. So stay tuned for more, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye now.